feelings hurt. Read this.
Hey there.
Hey,
What's up?
How's it going?
Oh,
Who are you talking to?
well,
Yeah.
I was talking to them.
Oh, those guys.
Yep. It's time for another Karman line short review.
Kármán short.
Kármán short review. What is that?
Well, it's what we do pretty much every day of our existence, where three cursed filmmakers sit down here to review a short film.
Cool.
I don't remember being
You got a
part of
phone
that.
there?
No.
Texting?
No, I've got a
Is that
phone.
what you're doing?
No.
You hide something from us?
You hiding something? You got a connection to the outside world?
So anyway, this is where three cursed filmmakers review short films submitted by you guys, the filmmaking public. It's the only place in the universe where you can see that.
Is that real?
That's real. I ain't
Cool.
lying.
Which brings us to today's film.
Today's film is no plow,
No
stops
country,
For old
for
men.
old men.
no plow stops for the dead.
No plow stops. No plow stops for the dead.
No plow stops for the dead.
Let's try to say it one more time.
No plow stops for the dead. A
Okay.
psychological short film 2019.
All right, so now we know the movie. Who made it?
Demba Films.
Okay, Demba Films.
And there's a link below,
Yep.
so you can watch this movie.
Definitely go check it out.
Just want to say that this was directed by.
Time to butcher.
Okay.
Sotiraq.
Sotiraq.
Sotiraq. Demba.
Sotiraq. Sotiraq. Demba. But it was submitted to us by John and directed by Steve, they said. So I'm not
What
sure if this person is Steve. Anyway,
Sotiraq.
Oh, they're using aliases.
aliases.
Oh, okay. So
Because-
Sotiraq. Wink.
Steve.
Steve. Which is the alias?
Steve is the
So-
alias.
Steve is the alien.
But he put it on it anyway.
So Steve is
Doesn't
a much
matter.
better-
Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Somebody made this movie, and we're
We're
going to
gonna
talk about it.
Yeah, it's time to talk about it.
All right.
Wait.
We're gonna do this one a little differently.
That.
Yes.
Normally we separate the film into first impressions and then about 3 different categories.
Topics.
Yeah,
yes.
but due to the nature of this film, we're gonna do a little bit different.
a little different.
Why is that?
Well,
It doesn't.
this goes back. This is ancient history for Karman Line Studios, for the
Yes.
three of us. So if we go way back to the earliest days of the three of us reviewing short films, you'll see an ongoing argument in movie after movie that we have reviewed.
Yes.
That all comes down to this: how does one fairly analyze a piece of expressionist work?
Right.
And does it even make sense to, sort of frame by frame break down something that is trying to express a symbolic meaning,
Right.
as opposed to tell a narrative story?
Something that could be interpretive.
Case in point, by the way.
Yep.
There's a video by YouTuber Adam. Forgot his last name. He does a YouTube series called YMS. Your Movie Sucks, and in it he talks about his favorite film. What's it called?
The Holy Mountain.
Sorry, not his favorite film. One of his favorite films. One that you and I like too.
Synecdoche, New York.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. Synecdoche, New York. And in it, he talks about a transition of text that goes off the screen. And he goes way in depth as to why this text is going off the screen a certain way.
The letters furthest on the left seem to fade in normally, but with any letter making contact with the clock radio, you can see that the parts of the letter that aren't directly over top of it fade in first. I believe that this is to show our struggle with time.
Turns out he was completely wrong.
He was
But
just overanalyzing.
Yeah, but that was the thing, is like, how do you analyze that kind of stuff is basically the point.
Where do you draw the line from what was supposed to be read into it and what is not supposed to be read into it?
Right. So,
right. And is just because he wasn't right, does it actually mean he's wrong?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
Right,
If
exactly.
a filmmaker, very often a filmmaker who makes an expressionist piece wants people to find their own meaning. Sometimes they don't, but we don't know that.
Yeah.
The way that we typically analyze short films here on the show is by breaking them down by very practical categories: cinematography, writing. We end up getting into how well they developed characters
Structure,
and things like
stuff
that.
like that.
Right. And so if we were to analyze, say, this film under that criteria, it would be a massive failure of a movie. right?
in more,
We have a
It'd
plot.
be a more massive failure of analyzing it.
we
it would
have
be
like
doing a
the
disservice.
thinnest.
Yeah.
You have the thinnest of plot lines.
Yeah,
you have
right.
completely undeveloped characters and
Which it's not really going.
a world
Which-
that's not
that-
explained. But that's
Yeah,
it.
you
That's
can-
just it. It comes down
Yeah.
to what's the intention.
You can at least say that they are not going for that
Right.
kind of thing.
Yes.
This is not traditional.
Not
you know?
traditional. Yeah. So we have traditional analytics.
Yeah.
Non-traditional movie.
And so because of that, we will be discussing our interpretations of the film, what works for us, what didn't work personally, and we'll probably have a larger discussion on art
Yeah.
as it, because I know D has some interesting
D hates
opinions
art.
about art.
Yeah.
D hates art.
D pretty much just hates.
Think of art and all that makes it great, and then imagine its opposite. Embody that in a
That's-
human
yeah.
being,
Yeah.
and that's
That
D.
is
That's me.
Devon
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Where to start?
Okay, go.
First impressions
First impressions will be the entire video.
will be the entire video. Yes. I'll talk about my first impressions.
Go.
Every time that I see a film that's kind of like this, which is mostly expressive or mostly symbolic, my immediate reaction is, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. Why did I watch this? That's usually the thing that's in my head. And then I take those thoughts, put them in a little bag, set that bag aside, and go, okay, guys, what did you think of the film? And then try to see, what did I miss? What did you guys get that maybe I can build on? Because I certainly don't get a lot of things from films like these that demand a lot of interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first impression, was I didn't get really much at all of anything, except for one kind of weird thing, which was casting. I thought casting was hilariously miscast. But
I kind of feel that way too.
Yeah.
unless it was intended. So
Well, it's just hard to believe. Like, this guy here, like, is supposed to be a doctor
or a surgeon.
or
He looks like a
surgeon,
beach bum.
But yeah, he
Yeah.
doesn't
He certainly doesn't look like one.
look old enough.
Yeah,
to
he
be-
also looks 19.
Yeah, he doesn't look old enough to be a.
Doogie Howser.
Yeah, which
I don't
is
know.
almost so dissonant that it's hard to think of it as, like, it almost has to be intentional for how dissonant that is.
Right. So, which brought up the word that's buzzing around is surreal, right?
Yeah.
And is this a surrealist film or not? To me, it did have a very dreamlike feel because it seemed unbelievable, right? So I'm not buying that the guy's a doctor. I'm not buying these two people even have a connection to each other
Yeah.
at all. And I'm assuming that's part of creating the I think you're supposed to be sort of in dis-ease.
Yeah, what the tone of this is. Definitely the wine pouring when nothing comes out and they don't blink an eye to that definitely tips me off to this being surreal-esque, I'll put it.
I like the framing of this shot.
Surreal-esque is a great descriptor, I would say, because it's not fully surreal.
Not all the way surreal, exactly. I don't know.
And they put a lot of emphasis on this shot.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really odd choice for something that's mostly expressive.
I really like that imagery of a bottle pouring nothing, but nobody even mentions it. She
Well, and
drinks. She takes a
it,
drink from
yeah.
it. You know.
Except she drank it, again, this is miscast kind of thing. She drank it very intentionally.
Yeah. Like, she didn't take a sip exactly.
It wasn't a
Yeah.
sip. It was, I'm drinking this nothing
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
pretending.
you can you can feel that she's like drinking nothing.
Right.
But you know.
You could also feel that these actors were reading scripts.
Yes,
That
that's
was-
the
All
other
three of
thing.
them.
Yeah.
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 Especially the girl. You can almost see her eye line.
You can see her eye line do it,
reading
yeah.
along.
The guy at the end was
Yeah.
probably as bad.
Yeah, where she's looking down the whole time.
Yeah.
So these two characters obviously aren't communicating to each other.
Right.
They're saying things that they're not reactions to one another. So I think what we're supposed to gather is that they're thematically connected.
That's what I would imagine, yeah. If there's nothing that's surface level.
And what I am gathering is that the message or theme here has to do with becoming numb to pain, like a numbing.
Yeah,
Right.
a apathy towards pain, a desensitization,
Right. Or even
desensitized
emotion in general. Just desensitization in
to,
general. Because even
human
she
suffering.
expresses a desire to not embrace hope.
Yeah,
Like
so-
she wants to push hope away.
So there's only 4 lines in the entire film, and 2 of them are from the
Doctor,
doctor,
the beach
surgeon
doctor,
guy, the beach doctor,
Surfer Jesus Doctor.
in which he talks about his desensitization.
He's dressed like Where's Waldo?
a little bit.
Where he talks about his desensitized nature of working with patients. The girl talks about her she doesn't think she'll become a mother, but then she also has a line that says something about she prefers the cynical view
Yes.
of her eggs not fertilizing.
Yes.
And then the waiter, who just very explicitly says,
He gives a toast.
gives a toast to pain itself. So thematically it all seems connected.
We came to the conclusion of nihilism.
Yeah.
Nothing matters. The pain doesn't matter, and because it'll all go away, it'll all end. Everyone's gonna die. Doesn't really matter when you're dead. The makers of this program would like to interrupt this program to talk about their other programs. Go D!
If you happen to be a filmmaker and you've made a short film and you want to hear us talk about it, you can submit it to us via the link in the description.
And if you love what you are seeing here and want to dive deeper into making better movies, you need to join us at our Facebook group, The Karman Line Cult. There, we have daily discussions about filmmaking, we have weekly live streams, and all kinds of other cool cult-like activities.
And now back to the program.
I thought the last line was particularly, it wasn't really well, what's the word?
Orated?
Spoken, yes. Yes, orated, diction. Is that the word?
Diction?
Dictionary. A toast to pain that will in time be consumed within the amnesia of a reassuring, apathetic world. I feel like that's a run-on sentence, and it feels that way, at least when he says it. And also he says it in a weird
His phrasing.
way.
Of it,
His phrasing's
pacing,
weird.
Yeah.
He says, a toast to pain that will in time.
Yeah.
I want to say something about that kind of about delivery with your actors, and that's if you have something that you want the audience to understand or at least listen to, it's really hard, I think, to get just regular audiences to focus all of their efforts on reading what the person is saying or hearing what the person is saying when you have very long sentences that are made up of very what you would call $5 words,
Sure.
when there's a long sentence that I don't feel like there's a lot of people that would take that surface level and just be like, oh yeah, I totally understood what he meant. A toast to pain that will in time be consumed within the amnesia of a reassuring, apathetic world. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to. Oh, hold on. Let's rewind.
I think
Which
that
we literally
actually...
did.
Which we did. We watched that line specifically
Several
4
times, yeah. I think that leads into a conversation we had shortly after our second viewing, which is that we think that when you're making an expressionist piece or a surrealist piece, a piece where there's a lot of interpretation demanded of the audience, that it is even more important that you nail your vision 100%.
Right. Yes.
This is the place to be the tyrant director who demands nothing but perfection from their piece, because that's the only way.
Yeah, because it falls apart.
Right, right.
As soon as the sound gets weird, as soon as the shot's weird,
we don't have archetypes to lean on.
Yeah.
We don't have a structure to lean on.
Right.
We're not. There's no way for us to be anticipating what's around the corner when we're in this uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Right. So we need. What it does to us is it puts us in a place where we're looking for meaning everywhere.
Right.
Which means every mistake we're interpreting as some kind of meaning, whether it's there or not.
Right.
It creates a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing like the audio, for instance, in this film. As soon as the audio starts, there's the music there, and that's setting the tone, and the shot is setting the tone, and the way people walk in is setting the tone. But the audio of it is ripping me out because it's just so low quality and just kind of reverbed out. And just
it's sort of like an
loud.
entire room down. It's a very wide audio recording.
It's not mixed well with
and
the
it's
rest
not
of it.
mixed at all.
Yeah.
There's one bit where when they cut shots from her to him, and the ambient noise of the room just drops.
Yeah.
You know, and so stuff like that, you begin to wonder. You try to figure out what it means.
Yeah.
It all of a sudden has meaning now.
Let's look at what that sounds like.
Watch. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that like says something. You know, if
Well, if you're
it's a
like
very interpretive film.
we're when you watch a film like this, you're given a full-time job as an audience of digging for meaning.
Right.
Whereas if you have like a 4-0 movie where they're just leading you by the nose and giving
a
you a
4-0
very
movie?
overt story, I don't have to answer that question now. It's established in the universe. The link's in every video we make now.
Yeah, but this person may not have seen the.
If you're
other
making a
video.
4-0 movie, or in other words, a very on-the-nose sort of like Marvel, kind of
Right,
movie,
right.
the audience can just check out because all the information you need to understand a story is in front of you.
Yeah.
Right? When you're making what we'd call a 1-3 movie, a movie where you're demanding much more of the audience, we are now on a search for meaning for every frame, every shot choice, every performance choice. What did that mean? What did that mean? Where we may not be asking those questions. It's actually, I think it's actually harder to get away with imperfections in an expressionist film
Yeah.
than it is in a narrative movie.
Well, also as the creator and someone who believes in their work a lot, say there's someone who's very egotistical, someone like Darren Aronofsky.
How dare you?
You could make a film with a lot of mistakes in it, and then someone brings up those mistakes, and you could reinterpret them as if they were intentional.
From the very beginning.
And nobody would know,
Yeah.
would blink an eye. Nobody would say, oh, but never mind. Nobody would say, no, you're wrong, because it's still interpretive. So if we were to say, like we said, these performances are really bad, the person who directed the film could come back and say, no, it was intentional. They're supposed to be millennials, and therefore they're supposed to be
Stupid.
kind of dumb. or something.
Millennials.
Yeah. I don't know, but
I hate millennials. Oh, wait a minute.
Kenny's a millennial.
Damn it.
Anyway, yeah. So it's a touchy thing with artistic films. I do want to say that this film I think was a little miscategorized. It was called a psychological film, and I think psychological films have a lot to do with interpreting visuals into something or interpreting some sort of feeling from something. And I didn't get a big tone or visual storytelling from this. This was almost a straight poem.
Right.
Yeah.
This was spoken, not shown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very heavily reliant on dialogue.
Yeah.
That's kind of why, for me, when I'm watching movies like this, tone is a big deal for me, and in order to pull off tone, this goes back to like execution and all that, like execution of sound, execution of visuals, execution of performances.
All that affects the tone, big
It's all
time.
hinged on the tone.
Yes.
And tone is, in my opinion, one of the most important parts of an expressionist or interpretive piece. You want to feel something really unique.
And
so
I felt
when
like we
those
were
are-
leaning heavy on tonality with the opening shot,
Yeah.
but that
Right.
did not carry through
No,
the
it
rest of the
kind of-
movie at all. It wasn't revisited. It kind of just went away.
We had these slow dollies
Lots of them.
throughout the whole thing.
Reminded me of The
Zooms, I
Shining.
guess.
I wanted
Yeah.
to say, I wanted to call this a poem. When the movie ended, the first thing that came to my mind was poetry. But not in the sense that a lot of movies are. I mean, many, many times we
Right.
see films, we see a visual poem or a tone poem, and this was neither of those.
Yeah.
It was almost literally a written poem that happened to be visually,
Yeah.
it just performed
Just-
by people.
right.
Makes you
performed.
question, it's like, why choose to make
A movie
this
at all.
piece in this medium?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. There was a film that we had discussed before that had the same problem, and that was something about an angel. I forgot what it was called.
Guardian Angel?
Was it called Guardian Angel?
No, it wasn't Guardian Angel.
It was a black and white film.
Oh.
Remember that?
It was called Another Year.
Yeah,
Another
that's
Year.
right. Yeah.
So that was
Episode 1 of the talkies.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
very, very early
Karman,
on.
short review.
Kármán short
You-
the talkies.
Anyway.
Sorry, it was called Short Film Roundup. The talkies featuring Short Film Roundup.
Yeah, it was back
We've
when it was
changed a little bit,
rebranded. Yeah, it's all weird.
Anyway, first time we reviewed short films, one of them was
Yeah.
called Another Year.
So that one, Another Year, was a short film that was what we call now a tone poem, but it was just spoken. It was just people speaking as if it was a dialogue, but it was just kind of prose like, and it made you kind of wonder why even film the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why even make it into a movie? And I have to say, I feel that way with here too.
Yeah, I think that's something to consider, at least. Like, if you are going to make a movie, do use the medium, you know? And, like, it doesn't have to be super on the nose, or it doesn't have to... It can be completely expressionist, but, you know, you got to use the medium strengths, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, even, like, David Lynch talks about that all the time, where he's, like, he'll get an idea, and it's not default for him to go to any particular medium. Like, he paints and does music and all that kind of stuff too. So if he doesn't get an idea that suits a movie, he won't make it into a movie.
Right. Right. Yeah. For me specifically, like if I have an idea for, I don't know, some sort of song or a beat or something, I'd be hard pressed to put it into a film.
Yeah.
What was the short film we covered that was black and white, and we first watched it on mute?
On mute. That was called not Anti.
Devoid.
Devoid.
Okay, so Devoid.
Yeah.
Kind of had the opposite problem,
Yeah.
right? So there was a film where the visuals were fascinating, and the spoken word that was sort of put on top of it didn't really connect to the visuals
Didn't match,
and
yeah.
didn't matter
Yeah.
at all.
It didn't. Yeah.
You know, and I kind of feel
That's
like
a great episode, by the way.
that was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like this film is like has got a sort of a foot in both camps.
Yeah.
Between the Another Year and the Devoid
Yeah.
conversation.
There's interesting tone coming here. Like there was a film that we covered, with the spoons.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, that one was
Yeah.
odd.
Was it just called Cards or something like that? Card?
Card. It was called.
It's
Card.
called Card. Yeah.
So you can watch that, our episode of it right there. But the
A lot of links in this one.
but the idea there is that we have a tone that's present throughout the whole thing. You know, a very very specific tone. I don't think there's actually even any dialogue in the movie.
Nope.
But with it, I feel like same for this movie, that we have a tone expressed, but then we don't build on it, and that it just kind of puts the dialogue ahead of the tone.
That's yep. I think I'm spent.
All right. Bye.
Question.
So this is the part of the show where we start talking to the filmmaker themselves. So if you are not the filmmaker, you can chime in with the comments below. You can ask your own questions to the filmmaker if you have any, or you can give us comments about what we may have missed, what you may have caught on, what we totally didn't go over, or if you agree with us or whatever. But it's really cool because usually the filmmakers chime in. So this is for Steve. So
Whoever's
Sotiraq,
watching
that
that was
Demba.
involved with the movie.
Whoever
Mr.
speaks
Demba.
for the movie.
Yeah, Mr. Demba, this is for you. Questions. You want to get started?
Yep. Are these the type of films that you make? Do you typically make interpretive films, expressionist, interpretative films?
Interpretator tots.
And what are your influences as a filmmaker?
Do you want your audiences to find their own meaning, or are you hoping they will find their way to a specific meaning that you want to share with them?
That is a fantastic question.
Thank
Please answer that question. That's
Please
amazing.
answer that question.
Man, that actually is exactly my question. So
I robbed you?
yeah,
Let's get robbed.
Thank you for that.
Ha!
Thank you for sending your film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. We
Yippee.
had an interesting conversation. We actually had a cooler conversation
Beforehand,
before we filmed.
yeah.
Maybe we should
Just
film
start
that.
rolling.
Yeah, we should just
Dang.
film all the time.
That sucks.
Man,
Alright.
that totally sucks.
So
Wow.
yeah, sorry. Bye.
So sad. So sad. That just sucks. That sucks.
This sucks.
We'll see you guys.
Life
Bye.
sucks.
Thank you for tuning in.